In this video, we're going to go over the 6 factors that determine whether your art business succeeds or not. As a full-time artist, I've really analyzed this over the years to try to determine different things that I need to improve in my business so that I can make more money over time. And before we get into these, I want to emphasize that I'm not ranking these in order of importance. They're all equally crucial if you want to have your art business really thrive. And the first thing is pretty obvious, but it's your art quality. If your art isn't up to snuff, it's not going to sell. And what I mean by this is if it's not connecting with customers emotionally, because customers, when they see your work, whether online or if you're selling at an art fair in person, they want to have a spark of emotion and curiosity and maybe inspiration when they see your work, something that connects with them on a deeper level, not just a pretty picture that they see that they could decorate their wall with, but something that has personal meaning to them in their life. Because they can buy just a pretty picture for really cheap at Hobby Lobby or Home Goods, and so they want something that's made by an actual artist. If they're purchasing from an artist, they want something that they connect with. I also want to make the point that art that is good, like good enough to sell, does not mean that it's art that is perfect. Art that you have toiled over for years on a single piece to try to make every detail absolutely perfect. Something that you would see as the pinnacle to the utmost highest thing that you can create. This is not what's required when you're trying to sell your work. Now, it's a great goal to work toward, and I'm not suggesting that if that's what you want to do with your art career that you should stop doing that. But I think that we always want to improve ourselves as artists. So having that as a goal long term is good. But you also have to consider if you're trying to pay your bills as an artist, it's okay to make things that are not quite perfection, as long as the customers are connecting with them and they're able to sell. And so there's a happy medium in this, right? Like you can work really hard on something and take way more hours than are necessary to make it good enough to sell, and then you're not really making yourself more money. In fact, you're making less money per hour for your work. So I think it's important as artists to try to figure out where the balance is. Next are sales opportunities. These are situations that you create for yourself as an artist to be able to sell your work. Now, they can be taking part in group shows or getting your work in a gallery, doing an art fair, selling your work on platforms like Etsy or eBay, or even your own website. So there are a lot of options out there for ways to sell your work, but the main idea here is you are the one that's taking action on these potential methods of selling your work. If you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not taking the steps to be able to do that, to apply to those shows, to do the art fairs, to upload your art to Etsy, and to put it very bluntly, if you're not doing a lot of it, if you're not selling in a lot of places through a lot of mediums, then you're probably going to fail as an artist these days. Because there is so much competition from other artists, from AI, to all of the different local events that you can sell your work at. I mean, there are places to sell work everywhere, and shoppers, all of your potential customers, are going to a lot of different locations and being bombarded with ads on social media everywhere to be able to potentially get them to purchase work. So if you are not actively putting yourself out there as much as you possibly can, then you are going to be one step behind everyone else. Next is your sales skills. This is super important because if you're putting yourself out there in all of these ways, but you're not good at selling, then you're also probably going to fail. And this is an area that I think artists, especially when selling in person, lack skills in order to do. I see it all of the time. I'm doing art fairs and see artists just sitting there with their face in their phone, not talking to customers who come in their art booth. And this is the absolute worst thing that you can do if you're trying to sell your work. The best thing that you can do is learn to storytell. Learn to connect with customers on that emotional level. For instance, if a customer walks into your art booth and sees your work, you can tell that they're smiling and they're inspired by it. At that point, that's when you want to start telling the story behind the work, your inspiration, your passion for creating it, because this is what's going to get people really fired up and really interested in supporting you as an artist and purchasing your work. Also, online, storytelling is so crucial because you you can have just the images that you're sharing about your work, but if you're not sharing that story behind it, oftentimes, even if your visuals, like the images that you're using, whether it's like a video or a static image of your work, and you're posting it online somewhere, like let's say Instagram, even if it stops the scroll, if you don't have something else there to connect with that person on an emotional level, they probably won't be interested in purchasing. In addition to this, it's also important to know how to handle customer objections, because this is part of the sales process, right? Customers always have objections to things, whether it's, oh, I don't have space on my wall, or it doesn't match my decor, or it's slightly out of my price point. I mean, there are a lot of objections, but if you're not able to address these when you're selling to customers, then you are going to be losing out on so many sales, because oftentimes all customers need is a little nudge in the right direction with an opposing solution to their objection, and then they will make the purchase. Next is pricing and product mix. Of course, pricing is super important. I think this is an area that all artists struggle with, because you're trying to figure out where you want to place yourself within the market, right? Like, do you want to be a more lower end commercial economy type of artist, or do you want to be a higher end luxury brand type of artist? You know, do you want your work to be selling for $20 a print? That's what I do, because that's what fits my target audience. Or do you want your work to be selling for $2,000 a painting, and you want to sell to people who are looking for pieces that are like a centerpiece to a living room, people that are higher income who can afford that? And so this is what you have to really do some soul searching about, I think, as an artist, to try to figure out what you want to sell, where you want to show up in the market, and also what fits your potential buyers, right? Because like for my work, for example, if I decided that I just wanted to start selling only $2,000 paintings, and I made like rainbow animal art like I'm making now, that just wouldn't work, because most people who purchase my work want to buy it for a kid's room, a gift for a friend, or even something to like decorate their bathroom with, or maybe their office, but they're not using it for a centerpiece to a living room. And think about it, I mean, like if you're buying something for a kid's room, you're not going to pay $2,000 for it. It's just not going to happen. And so that's the reality of the type of subject matter and color schemes and everything within my work. But that might not be the situation for you. And that's why you have to really examine what you're selling and who you want to sell to. Now, when it comes to product mix, you want to think about the same people, the same target audience that you're trying to figure out what you're pricing to. But then within that, you got to think about what they would like to buy. Because sometimes, for example, in my work, sometimes people are looking for just a gift for someone else. They're not going to spend that much money on a gift, especially if it's a gift for a friend or a coworker. So a $20 print is a really good fit for that. On the other hand, sometimes a significant other is looking for a Christmas gift, an anniversary gift, or a birthday gift. In that case, a $300 to $500 custom portrait would be a good fit for that particular buyer. And so that's why I personally, since I know I sell a lot of gifts, I have a lot of different types of options like that, so that way I can fulfill the needs of every type of gift buyer, whether it's somebody looking for a lower price point item or a customer looking for a higher priced item. The fifth factor is consistency and follow through. And this is super important. I mean, I think it goes without saying, but if you just stop doing things, like you stop making new work, stop posting on social media consistently, you stop selling at art fairs, you stop doing everything that you've been doing to try to sell your work, and you just like take a break and just disappear, and then all of a sudden you come back a year later and you start trying to sell your art again, I mean, customers are probably not going to be as interested in supporting you and purchasing from you, because they're not seeing that you're super consistent. And I know things happen in life. We get burnout or we have illnesses, but at least communicate with your email list and your social media, anywhere that you can, to communicate with your customers. If you're having a situation like that in your life that's going to stop you from being consistent, you know, from making new work, from attending art markets, from doing all the things that you need to do to keep selling, try to at least tell customers about this ahead of time and keep them informed. And every once in a while, try to post to social media and send out an email newsletter just to keep customers engaged a little bit while you're taking that break. But my big tip here is if you can keep to a schedule, if you can stick to it, keep super consistent. Don't ever take a break. You can take a weekend off, obviously, but don't ever take like a 3-month break from your social media or a couple of years off from art fairs. Just keep doing it, keep consistent. This way you'll not only keep your current repeat customers engaged, but you'll be consistently creating new opportunities to get new customers. The sixth factor is resilience. This has to do with your mindset and your grit. How do you handle it when you get rejected from an art fair, or you have a slow month, or you do an art fair and you make no sales, you actually might even lose money, or you work all of these hours to upload your products with different photos and all the SEO and everything to Etsy, and you either make no sales or only make like 1 or 2 sales from all of that effort? How do you deal with that rejection, that loss of money, that loss of effort and time? How do you deal with it? Do you let it stop you, or do you say, hey, well, yeah, I failed at that, but there's 100 other things I can try, so I'm gonna start trying some of them, because one of these things, one of these business tactics will work to help me sell my art. I think this is one of the personality traits that's helped me to succeed as an artist the most, because you never know when things are going to work out or when things are going to fail, especially when you're first trying out a lot of things. Eventually, after you try out so many different things, you're going to have some successes and they're going to stack on top of each other. And then you're going to have a whole list of things that have succeeded and do succeed for you in your business. But in order to get that list, you're going to have like this huge stack of failures. You have to know that going into it, and you have to be willing to fail. And failing is good. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I fail at things all the time. I just let it roll off of me. I mean, sometimes if the failure is big, like I did an art fair and I lose $2,000 or $3,000 on it, I mean, that sucks. I don't do that anymore. But early in my career, I did have that happen on a couple of occasions. And yeah, it really sucks and it gets you down. But I did not let that stop me. In fact, those losses have taught me so much, honestly, more than my successes. And this is why, to be a successful working artist, you have to go into it knowing that you're going to fail sometimes and that failure is okay. It's just like when you're making an artwork, sometimes the artworks are going to turn out amazing, like whether you're painting or sculpting, whatever media you're working in. Sometimes everything is just going to fall in line and it's going to be some of your best work. And then in other cases, you're making art and you're just working on it so hard, it's just never going to be right. I mean, in the end, it might never be better than your most mediocre or even mid-level work, no matter how hard you try, because there are so many things to overcome within the piece. Maybe it's the way it's arranged on there, maybe it's the color scheme you chose. I mean, there could be a lot of examples of why it could not be your best work. But the idea here is that if you can handle failure in your art practice, then you can also handle failure in your art business. Just view it that way. It's all a learning process. And as you keep going, you'll keep growing and your business will continue to improve. With these 6 factors in mind for how to succeed in your art business, one other thing that you can do is determine who your exact target market is. Because if you know who your ideal customer is, you can better sell to them. And I have a video that shows you exactly how to do that. You can check that out here. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps. See you next time.